Well guys, we've been pretty hard at it here for the last couple days doing end of season cleanup. It is that time of year, guys. So we're starting to go through all of our tires and figure out which ones we kind of need, which ones we don't need, all that fun stuff. We pulled this one out of storage because I'm gonna put this one in the shop. Do you guys remember this car? Some of you do, some of you don't. It's Illuminati. So we're gonna be pulling Illuminati inside of the shop here, and we're going to be doing some work to it, but probably not the work you guys wanted to be done to this. We're going to be taking this motor out. The reason for that is I don't really want to build a Pro Mod car, and this thing here in Ontario, you can't run anywhere, and how I built the motor mounts, I can't run at Mini Meltdown, and yes, I might be able to go to your guys, one of your local shows, but I don't want to build a Pro Mod. We're just going to throw a regular sub underneath this, and we're going to throw a regular Toyota Camry motor back into this. But this is going to sit on the floor because we do have a plan for it, just not yet. So we're going to get this all cleaned out, we're going to get it hooked up to the loader, we're going to get it brought in, then we're going to put this thing in here, and then I guess we're going to throw the blue car back in here because I haven't had time to tear it apart, and I just want it out of the weather. And then we got to do something with all these engines. LS, Corolla, Camry, 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 Camry. You guys getting tired of that story yet? Neither am I. Let's get this one out of here. So after a little bit of manipulation, we have the Aaron car and the Beaton car in here. I think that thing needs some work. Some trailing arm's broken, but I think it needs a timing belt. It's got a lot of power missing that it should have. We have the car that I wanted to tear down, but we probably will not have time to tear down this year. It's sitting here. I'm going to charge up this battery, maybe take it out, take that battery out. We are getting a little bit rougher with the garage here, though. I'm not liking that, but these cars are getting in worse and worse shape. So look what we have in here. I know you guys are going to be disappointed for what I'm about to tell you, but this car's got to come apart. And let me tell you why. So this car's got to come apart for a couple of reasons. One, when I built it, I tried to message a Ontario demolition derby company to find out how to do the motor mounts, and they replied. So I built it to how they wanted their motor mounts. And then I messaged Spinning Wheels down in the US, and I got no reply. And I don't really bother, it doesn't really bother me. It was the off season. I think it was like January that I was building it, and their derby wasn't until June. So I did that, and then so I did it the way that the Ontario promoter wanted it. Next thing you know, Ontario promoter changed his rules for stock class. I can't run motor swaps. I was like, oh, well that sucks. They've actually changed the rules even more now. You actually can't even run Camrys and Mini anymore. So then I messaged Spinning Wheels to get their take on how I did my motor mounts. And they told me no bueno. I don't know how to say that word correctly. So now I can't run it here in Ontario, I can't run it in the US, and I can Pro Mod this thing, but honestly, I'm really not liking these motor mounts at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing out, and we're going to put a 4-cylinder motor into this with a 4-cylinder sub, and we're going to take this, we're going to put it off to the side. I know, don't comment it. I know you guys are not happy with that choice, but it has to be done. The Illuminati will live on, but not in this. I have a buddy that is really interested in the subframe, so I'm probably going to trade him this subframe, which is already set up for the Illuminati because you had to cut out so much of it. Now, the reason it cannot run at Spinning Wheels is how I did the motor mounts. It says that I'm not allowed to build new mounts, and that's what I did for this. I built all new mounts for the motor. I got rid of the AC and I put a motor mount there, and I built a motor mount onto the axle housing, which they do not allow. It has to be your factory motor mounts. So, do you guys know how these new Camry motor mounts mount? I think we should take a look at that maybe, because it's a little different. How the Toyota Camry mounts. Let's talk about how aluminum motor mounts first. The aluminum motor has a mount underneath the crank and one on the transmission, and then they have the two upper ones to the rad support. How a new body Camry motor mounts is one on driver's side, one on passenger side, one on the front on the transmission, one on back, and then the one on top. So if I utilize the two Camry bottom mounts off a newer Camry, and then the upper mount bring over and across to pick up the two front ones, this is making sense to me now. So technically, I could put this into a newer Camry while using the factory motor mounts in a way to make it better that fits in their rules. So don't be that upset with me, guys. Please don't be upset. But Illuminati is going to come apart. It's going to come apart. Well, the day's come, guys. You have been dreading this. I have not been looking forward to it. But the Illuminati is coming apart. And I know, you guys don't want it. We've disconnected the entire harness from the car. That's the great thing about standalone harnesses, is they're super easy and quick to do. Throttle cable, steering, shifter cable, everything is off there. What we're going to do is we're going to bring her up on the hoist, undo the subframe bolts and the struts. We should actually do the struts now that it's down, and then we're going to pop this thing out. Don't be mad at me, guys. I'm sorry. Well, we went to Halloween party last night, and I was the DD, so it's... time for a bigger gun. Well, it's time for this thing to come out, and we are here working on it. And we should come down a bit more on the hoist. So I think that's everything there. So let's come down on this. See? Back there. Brake line. That's something I forgot. Damn, I did a good job on those brake lines. I'm trying this new thing here in the shop where I try to stop oil from hitting the ground. It's a foreign concept to me, but it kind of makes sense. So we're just going to let these things drain here for a bit. There are catch cans. Take this thing away. I can lower it, or I can lift the car. Just gonna check for anything else that looks like it's hung up. Well, it looks like we're doing good. I knew I forgot something. The main power wire to the starter. Oh, let's cut that thing apart. Okay, so let's talk about this engine. Actually, not the engine. I want to talk about the mounts. I want to tell you guys why this thing cannot run. And I've been saying it for years. why it can't run, and I've kind of explained it, but I haven't showed you guys. So I don't have an AC pump on this because I didn't AC pump delete, and for any of you guys thinking that you have to buy some fancy kit, I don't think you have to, because this is a idler out of a Toyota Camry. The idler for the Toyota Camry timing belt I put into this engine. So I don't think you guys need fancy things to make it to do your AC delete, but you can, but just use what you got, guys. So I built this custom plate. So this plate right here is not allowed in the rules. I built a custom adapter plate that bolted on where the factory air conditioning went. But this also serves something else. Even if you are deleting the AC and you're not running a motor mount here, it does protect your crank sensor. It does protect your oil filter. So anyway, I did that and I put it on here. They do not allow that because it's a custom bracket built to the engine. This mount, I'll talk about that one in a second, but the same thing goes for this one. It is a custom built mount that mounts the factory bolts here on the back of the block, and then it comes down and mounts to the factory Toyota Camry motor mounts. So the reason I built it like this is the rule stated the motor mounts have to go to the factory Toyota motor mount location. So that's why I did all this. But to run it in the US, I can't do it like this. It's kind of like a back and forth. One guy wanted one thing, one guy wanted another thing. So I built it to the one here in Ontario, and then unfortunately that one here in Ontario decided to stop existing. Well, actually, they still exist. They just changed the rules so much that this thing can't even run mini anymore. Now it's got to run mid-size. So anyway, so the reason I can't run it is these two front motor mounts. Well, it's basically not the front, but two motor mounts. So what they want me to do is use the factory aluminum mount here that goes here and then welds the thing to here. So that's how we're going to do this for the USA show coming up. So let's talk about this motor mount. This motor mount is the motor mount that I'm least happy with. It's just it's just hacked apart. It is disgusting. It is just a thick piece of 3/8 plate I had laying down. This is all torch cut. This here is just zip cut. Like, it's not pretty. This mount, they're all okay with. Because this is where the factory W-body mounts to, and this is where the factory Toyota Camry mounts to. So everybody's okay with that, but that's the one I hate the most, which is kind of ironic. But so yeah, this thing's coming out, and kind of sucks, but you know what, guys, I have different plans. I have plans that I cannot discuss with you yet. I think that's how the meme goes. But we got it out. Now we're just going to get that thing and put it into it. Kind of self-explanatory, but we're gonna do it, guys. This car here is probably gonna run stock class next year. So while it's up there like this, I'm gonna delete most of the brake lines because, heck, why not? We're already in here. So I'll show you guys how to do your brake line delete without actually making any brake lines when you have the ABS coming up. So stay tuned.